In a world of constant evolution, where the line between man and machine begins to blur, a new age of possibility emerges. Where humanity is augmented to achieve what was once thought impossible. Welcome to the age of cybernetics.
Yo, Vault Hunters, Augiesaint here with some more Borderlands 4, and today I bring you guys Aimbot RAFA. As you can see in the background, using the Phantom Flame alongside the Peacebreaker cannons with the Bullet Buddy augment, we can actually maintain infinite auto-locking Aimbot RAFA with the Phantom Flame. I've been working on this for a couple of days now, trying to get it to actually just work really good, because it feels really good against mobbing, but against bossing it's kinda meh. But then all you do is you put on a Augiesaint and there you go, you've solved the bossing problem now. And the mobbing on this is just absolutely crazy. If you want the easiest laid back farming, like if you want to go farm some drill sites or whatever, just any AoE mobbing or questing, anything you feel like doing, Aimbot RAFA is here to save the day because he just obliterates everything. And then when you get to like a big chunky boss, the Phantom Flame still does okay damage with the build we have actually set up in the background now, but you will get much better results by just quickly switching over to the Augiesaint. And we do have some points in splash damage and other things buffing up the Augiesaint. And you could pretty much just one clip all the bosses in the game anyway. As you saw in the intro, that was all just using the Augiesaint, and mine's actually not even the best one it could be. I think it goes up to like 4% on the stickies. We only have a 3% one, and we also have a small mag on now, so you could get a bigger mag as well as more stickies, so you could easily do more damage than I was. Plus, I wasn't using any rep kits or the crit knife in any of the intro footage, so the potential for this is still there. You can get so much more damage. I also wasn't using the Dancer class mod, surprisingly, because of firmware. I'm switching firmwares and things on other builds. I just don't have it left over for my RAFA, but we were using the Precise Instigator and it still just obliterates everything, as you guys can see in the intro and the background. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into the build and how everything works. So having a look at our skill tree, we heavily invest into the red tree with 44 points. We're just going to pick up some generic points over here for gun damage, fire rate, as well as action skill duration when we crit. And then we are using the Bullet Buddy Deluxe as our augment. When you activate this, it's just going to make you not consume ammo for 8 seconds. So that's how we can go ahead and like smack the boss full of stickies, as you saw in the intro. And it's also how we maintain the Phantom Flame's crazy fire rate, because we have so much fire rate on this gun. When we go into overdrive, this is all double, plus we have some more fire rate over in the blue tree, which we'll show you guys in a second. But yeah, you just have a crazy amount of fire rate. So without the Bullet Buddy Deluxe, you kind of struggle to maintain the Phantom Flame. You have to reload like all the time if you don't use this. So make sure when you are spamming on your Phantom Flame, you are spamming this as well. On PC, you just have to press F, so whatever it is on console, to go ahead and activate your augment. Make sure you're using this, because if you don't, it's not going to feel very good. Then we come down the middle tree. We really want to get down here for the camp zone on the beam team. This is just an easier way to maintain your Peacebreakers like permanent uptime, because they don't have any travel time on any other projectiles and things, so the beams like hit instantly. Also does quite a bit of damage. It applies statuses for all of our other status effects. We have status effect stuff over there for our action skill, as well as some other stuff in the Spec Tree and some stuff on our gear. So the beam team is why we want to come down this middle tree. So we pick up Vitriol over here. This is really good, except for it doesn't actually work properly right now with the Phantom Flame. It only buffs the very first bullet you shoot out of the magazine. even though you are using bullet buddies so that your magazine technically stays full because you don't consume any ammo, this only works on the very first shot. So when they actually buff this, or when they fix this to work alongside bullet buddy, so if you activate bullet buddy and you don't lose any ammo, this should buff every single shot by 55%. And in that case, we could even go ahead and use the Phantom Flame as our bossing weapon. We wouldn't have to switch to the Augiesaint because we go check out the blue tree. There's another one over here for first impressions. This one's going to give you 50% increased gun damage on a fully loaded new magazine, so like the first shot. So we're going to get 50% increased damage over there. Plus we're also going to get 55% increased bonus corrosion damage. So I think once they fix both of those and they actually work, we could then go ahead and just obliterate losses with the Phantom Flame, as well as if you have amp on your rep kit. If you have your amp up and you use your bullet buddy, since it's not going to be consuming the shot, all of that put together, once that, or if that eventually works one day, would make this build just crazy on the Phantom Flame. So you just have aimbot for everything. So that's going to be really awesome. Hopefully that does get changed soon. But for now, I just picked this up anyway because you have to go further down the tree, and it's better than picking up confetti because we don't really care about any ordnance stuff in this build. And then another big one over here is concentrated buildup. While aiming with the gun, you deal increased shock damage, and we will be aiming quite a lot because you have to aim with the Phantom Flame, or you have to ADS, hold it down, and then it's going to auto lock onto your target. So you pretty much just want to be holding your ADS all the time. You pretty much want to be aiming down sight all the time. You'll get a massive bonus over here. This is 16% shock damage as well as 4% just additional bonus, and that's stacking up to 20 times. So that's a truck ton of extra damage that you don't want to be missing out on. So make sure you are always aiming. But you will be, because you have to for your Phantom Flame to go ahead and lock onto targets. Then pick up 3 points if you're into Inspirator, just to give us action skill cooldown rate as well as increase the duration. And this also stacks up. And it's also caused by when you do status effects. That's why it's so important to grab Beam Team, because we'll be doing shock, corrosive. And then our Phantom Flame is also going to be doing fire. So we'll have 3 different statuses to go ahead and proc Inspirator all the time. And then the 1 point over there from the class mod, this is just going to give you increased status effect chance from your Peacebreaker cannon. So again, it's going to double dip back into Inspirator to help you keep it up longer. And then this 1 point over here doesn't really do much for us because we don't really have any indirect projectiles on this build, unfortunately. So it's 1 wasted point on the class mod, but getting points into this over here is like the biggest upside, as well as getting extra points into Deft Hands for the increased fire rate. So we will talk about class mods in a second once we get to the equipment, but for now, let's just carry on with the skill tree. We pick up 5 points in Barrage. This is going to give us increased splash damage, which will be doubled when you go into Overdrive, which is going to be pretty much all the time thanks to Soldado. It's a kill skill that will double all your override skills, which is all the ones over here. So we'll be getting 70% increased splash damage. And now this doesn't really do anything for the Phantom Flame, but it does boost the Augiesaint's damage. So it's really nice when we get to bosses, because 70% increased damage for like pretty much free, because you have to come down this tree anyway. And we're not going to picking up the duration there because this is just so much better, especially if you run the Dancer class mode instead of the Instigator. Then you don't really want this because the duration of your overdrive doesn't matter then. And then we grab Temario over here because this gives you increased gun damage. It gives you negative gun handling. So this technically, there's a bug in game right now. When your gun handling goes into the negative, the projectile speed of your projectiles actually slow down. But luckily, the projectile speed of the Phantom Flame is not too bad, as well as the Augiesaint. Plus, we do have some firmware buffing our projectile speed, so it counteracts it. Gun damage you get from there is just unconditional. There's so much extra gun damage that you'll be grabbing from this. And this will also be doubled because it is an override skill, thanks to Soldado again. And then lastly, we pick up Devil May Care. It's going to give you a ton of movement speed, as well as some health regen while you are inside your overdrive, which is while you have Peace Cannons up. And when you're not inside, it's going to give you action skill cooldown rate. You'll be taking some more damage, but you'll be getting back into your Peacebreaker cannon so fast that you don't really care about the damage there. However, if you don't feel like you want that movement speed and health regen, you could drop the points there and put them into Resiliencia. This will give you damage reduction while in overdrive, and that'll also be doubled because of Soldado. So if you just want to be super tanky, go ahead and grab that. Or you could even like split this up, maybe put 3 points in there, like 2 points in there. It depends on you, but for me, this feels the best because I like having the movement speed, the health regen, and then also the action skill cooldown, so I can get back into my action skill faster. If we ever drop it, which we really don't ever drop this, just between bosses, like when you're bossing and you kill the boss really fast and you run back, maybe it's not up yet, but I think it's on like a 25 second cooldown or something with the way we have the tree set up. So honestly, I just like that for the movement speed and the health gen, but up to you. Do whatever you want with those 5 points. And then having a look at the blue tree, we have 5 points left, so we chuck them in the thrall over there for increased fire rate, because the fire rate just buffs the Phantom Flames damage like crazy. And this is an overdrive skill, so once you are in overdrive, this will be doubled again. So you'll be getting like 30, 40, 50, like 50% fire rate increase just from this alone. And then we do have the fire rate over there. That's just flat fire rate. So it's like 50, 60, 70. It's like almost 80% fire rate just from this alone. So a ton of fire rate, and it just makes everything go brrr. And then if you can have a look at the equipment we're using, obviously the Phantom Flame is the bread and butter over there. This is what we're going to use for pretty much all the mobbing stuff. And if you come up against fleshy bosses that, you know, are not armored bosses, you can just use this and will pretty much wipe them out as well. It even does pretty decent against shielded bosses. It's just once you come up against armored bosses, you may want to switch over to your person over there so you can actually go ahead and just sticky them. And with this, you want to activate your bullet buddy once, and then you want to like just fill them up until you run out of magazine and reload. Don't reactivate your bullet buddy twice with this because that will make it last too long before you have to reload, and then that just makes the fight last longer because one clip of this plus your bullet buddy, so like the however many clips you get during the duration of bullet buddy, is enough to wipe out all the bosses I have tried already, as you saw in the intro. So that's one thing I would recommend when you're bossing. Only press your bullet buddy once so you get like the infinite ammo once. You don't need more than that. But then when you are mobbing with the Phantom Flame, make sure you spam your bullet buddy, because as soon as it drops and if you're still like spam clicking your shoot, then you will run out of ammo like almost instantly. So make sure you are spamming your bullet buddy while you are mobbing. And then your other weapons, really up to you. I just have the Wombo combo in my pocket as well as the GMR because they're really, really strong assault rifles. And with this build, if you ever go down from like a stray barrel or something exploding, you whip out the Wombo combo real quick. And with all of our crazy fire rates and explosions from this, it would pretty much just wipe out anything in front of you. So you can use that to like get your second wind up if you need it. And the same thing for the GMR. It's also really fun, especially with like infinite ammo. You can ADS and the crazy fire rate. You'll be getting a massive boost to damage there. But we mostly just stick to our Phantom Flame because we like to be lazy and aimbot. That's the point of the build anyway, right? And we have a look at our rep kit. The only reason I'm using this is literally for the Deadeye, for the firmware. I didn't have any more Deadeye on rep kits. But the rep kit I would recommend to use would be something like a bypass. And you can also get Enrage on the bottom shot, or you can also get Amp Shot, which I think Amp Shot, once they fix everything how it's meant to be working, where if you press bullet buddy and like your whole magazine keeps the Amp Shot, that could be potentially insane. Otherwise, I'd recommend just picking up Enrage because it's going to be like 30% increased damage for like 10 seconds. So really just use whatever rep kit you want. Then moving up to the Ordnance, I'm using this literally again for the Deadeye. You saw in the intro, I never actually use this. Plus this is only a damage amp knife. It's not a crit knife. But if you wanted to kill the bosses faster, you could go ahead and throw this knife. It's going to give you 50% increased damage for 10 seconds. So why not? But I'm literally only using this for Deadeye. So again, go ahead and use whatever ordnance you want. Then if you have a look at our class mode, we're actually using the Instigator with this build instead of the Dancer. Although the Dancer is really, really strong as well. It's going to give you the bonus increase by 100% on all your overdrive stuff. Plus it's going to get doubled again because of your Soldado perk, which you can see there. You can actually not pick up the Soldado perk with this because you don't have to, because getting more than +1 into Soldado is not actually going to make it do any more. So if you do use the Dancer, make sure you tweak your skill tree a little bit and you drop that point that it actually gives you into Soldado. So that's a really good option. The only reason I'm actually using this is because of the firmware, and the Dancer is just like so overkill anyway. The Instigator just felt really good with the buffs it gives us there to the fire rate as well as the aim down sights, the electrical shot. That actually gives us a ton of extra damage because we'll be ADSing and shooting so fast. So don't sleep on the Instigator. But if you want to use the Dancer, totally go ahead and use the Dancer. Just drop that point in Soldado so you're not wasting it and put it somewhere else. But all the clips in the intro was me using the Instigator. So don't sleep on it. It's not bad. I think the Dancer mathematically is slightly better because it will be boosting all your overdrive stuff by like double. So pretty much like triple when you have this on, plus the point in Soldado. But at least it gives you options for this build, so whichever one you have, go ahead and use that. And then for the shield, yet again, I don't want to say it, but we are using this mainly for the Deadeye. Plus it is a firework, so it's not bad because all of those missiles are going to be doing indirect damage, and then with the little bit of boost we get from here, those will actually be boosting the missiles. So it's not a bad option. However, the better option I would say would be the Super Soldier because it's going to give you fire rate and movement speed while the shield is full. If you have something like Siphon on this, it's going to like overfill your shield automatically because when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to grant yourself overshield. And since we'll be firing like 1,000,000 shots a second, you're pretty much going to be boosting that or getting that Siphon to proc all the time. So using this give you more movement speed and fire rate does stack quite crazy with the Phantom Flame. So I would recommend using the Super Soldier over the Fireworks. However, the Fireworks is not a bad deal. I just got it because of Deadeye. But in the ideal world, I would think the Super Soldier would be better to use than the Fireworks. And then lastly, the Enhancement. This one is actually not doing much for me. I'm only using it yet again because of firmware. I know, unfortunate. My luck with firmware is terrible. But yeah, you can just use whatever Jacobs you have to go along with your Phantom Flame. So go on with like gun damage and grunt crit damage. That'll be the best ultimately. And the sequencer on this is not bad. So we get the stacking bonus damage of that 5% for 8 stacks. But this does wear off if you miss a crit. So make sure when you are auto-locking to kind of aim a little bit up just so you can try and get some headshots if you have this perk on yours. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Just grab like anything like that would even be better. It just has flat 25% gun damage. So enhancement, get whatever is better for you. A Jacobs preferably when you're using your Phantom Flame for mobbing. And then for bossing, you could run something like this. For the clips at the beginning, I was actually using this. I lost 1 point in high caliber. And then I gained the gun damage over there. Plus I gained the head ringer as well as the explosionception because of the torque part. So with the Augiesaint using the torque stickies, using the switching over to the torque enhancement for bossing, I think will be better. And then just get yourself a really good Jacobs for when you go mobbing with your Phantom Flame. So that's it for the equipment. And if we have a look at our firmware, we're going to be using Deadeye because this is just too good to pass up. It gives you crit damage. And then we're also running high caliber. Now this, I would say you want to try and get yourself at least the 1 point for the projectile speed increase because of the negative handling we have in the skill tree, reducing our projectile speed. Plus the Phantom Flame doesn't have like instantaneous projectile. It's pretty fast, but it's not like hit scan. It's a little bit slower than hit scan. So having the projectile speed there does feel really nice because it like tracks onto targets really, really fast and also does give you 10% increased damage. So overall, I think high caliber is a pretty good option to go ahead and pick up. And I want to try out if the bullets piercing, because this thing tracks on, maybe the bullets piercing hit again. So actually now I'm just sitting here thinking about that. We'll definitely have to go try that out. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have tried with 3-piece high caliber. That could potentially boost the damage of this even more. And then lastly, let's quickly cover the specialization. The points I'm going to be grabbing is the best defense for 30% increased damage when your shield is full or when your health is full, whichever one is the higher capacity. Really nice, although you don't need it. You can grab whatever else you want. I just have the points in there, so I went ahead and grabbed it. And then riddle you this. This one's pretty important. Just grab that for increased gun damage. Then we are running Bullet Train. We will be getting 50% gun damage while walking, which we're going to pretty much just be ADSing and walking all the time because of our auto lock-on. And then In the Zone is also another good one to grab because while you're aiming, you gain the gun damage and the crit hit damage. That's why you saw at the beginning in the intro, I was ADSing to build up the stacks while I was like shooting my sticky Augiesaint to build up the stacks on the sticky. So make sure you are ADSing all the time, and this point is just really good. The one that I would say is optional is the best defense. Go ahead and play around with that. If you want, you can pick up the Now with Caffeine. I feel like earlier on in gear progression and you don't have your Peacebreaker cannons up all the time, then you can definitely grab this with a rep kit that has multiple uses like the triple bypass to go ahead and get your Peacebreaker cannons up really fast. But that's really going to be it for the build. Sorry, it's a bit of a lengthy one trying to explain everything going on in here. And as you guys could see, there's so much more room for improvement with this build. I'm only just being held back because of my bad firmware luck. But I will go farm up this build and increase it more because the Phantom Flame is like one of my favorite weapons in the game so far. So I definitely want to make like a version 2 of this where we really just min-max it like crazy. And I also want to go check out if that high caliber thing works with the bullet piercing and then those go ahead and like track. Let me know what you guys think of the build down below in the comments. If you liked it, please drop a like and a sub on the channel. It helps me out so much. Also drop on by at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. We are streaming every other day and I love to see your beautiful faces there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.